Okay.
And it'll pop up, and I'll post it where it'll pop up. I give it a few minutes, and then okay. First thing first, where you from?
I was born in Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, Motor City kid here.
Oh man, I thought you was from Florida.
No.
No.
My dad was in the Air Force. We moved all over the place.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been around it. Any social media or networks you want to social networks you want to promote?
I've got a YouTube channel that's Big Airbrush. I've got a Facebook page that's Big Airbrush. I've got an Instagram page that's Big Airbrush.
Oh, I didn't know you were on YouTube.
Yeah, I got several. I have several videos on YouTube.
Oh, I need to look you up and follow you then on there.
Just cheap entertainment.
Yeah. Now you gotta have it nowadays. It seems like. So, how long have you been airbrushing?
58 years.
Oh,
I know. It hurts to think about it.
But it goes so fast.
Well, it's not that life's so short. It's just that we're dead for such a long time.
Yeah. It's the crazy part is that it's like you think you started like a year or two ago, and next thing you know, it's like 20 to 50 years later.
I know. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, when you enjoy it, I guess. I gotta keep looking over here because my other iPad ain't come on. How did you find out about airbrush?
I was at the state fair in California, and I saw this guy in a little tiny trailer, and it was all blacked out inside. He had black lights on, and he had a VL3 with a color cup on the side that he was putting, looked like India ink in. He'd do these monsters in cars, busting out of the top, and then he'd take these two little cans of fluorescent spray paint, and he had one in each hand and just going crazy on it. And I looked, and his name was Ed Roth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I got really excited. I went home, mowed a bunch of lawns, bought an airbrush.
Wow. So you was with the beginning of it all, huh? Y'all didn't have none of that back then.
Ed Roth, Tom Davison. Tom Davison, man, he's the man. He's been around longer than most of us. Mm-hmm. And he knew Kelly, Mouse Studios. He knew all those people. He knew Ed Roth personally.
Yeah.
And, Tom he's a very modest guy, but, he told me a long time ago, he said, 90% of airbrush is lettering. He said, that's the bread and butter of this entire business. And I don't think, Kid Johnson is one of my favorite calligraphers as far as lettering goes. But Tom, he was like, the grandfather of the whole Shamoli here, I think.
Yeah. When I talk to him, I know he does photography now, still do the cars and stuff like that.
Yeah. He loves old hot rods, and he loves photography. Tom's kind of a quiet guy, but very, very talented. I had the pleasure of working with him in Fort Walton and Panama City Beach. Oh,
nice. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we had him on podcast too already, Tom. He had a lot to talk about. So did once you bought your airbrush, who taught you? Or you pretty much learned on your own?
When I started, after watching Ed Roth a little bit, I went home, I mowed the lawns, bought an airbrush, started messing around with it. And I went to the library, went to the base library, and there was only one book on airbrushing. And it was really, a lot of it was photo retouching in there. And everything they did was with a Frisket, a stencil.
Oh, yeah, back then.
So I started cutting stencils out, like 4-part stencils way back then. I would take a thing, I would draw it out, I would cut it out with a number 11 X-Acto blade on a piece of oil-based stencil board. And, when I was in high school, I'd take pictures, Polaroid pictures of everything I'd painted. I had this album that I took to school. and I'd let people thumb through it, and they would give me orders for shirts. A lot of it, was surfing stuff, just beach scene stuff, names and like that. Some of it was pretty horrific if I remember right, but I still got orders, and I would take them back to school the next day, and they paid me for them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Get paid. Like I remember Tom always used to say, you might as well get paid to practice. That's one of the things he used to say.
Yeah, well, that's the old saying, you can earn while you learn.
Yeah, true.
I think we've all done that, haven't we?
Yeah, for real. What was your first airbrush?
Believe it or not, I went and looked all around the hobby shops everywhere. I went to a Sherwin-Williams paint store. This girl I was dating, her dad owned the Sherwin-Williams paint store. She goes, yeah, my dad carries them. And I went in there and bought a single action Binks Wren. A lot of people never even heard of it. It had a white handle, a gold body, this weird finger lever button on top, and it had the roll barrel type nozzle to make it from thick to thin. And then I bought a single action Pache. I think they were called H's, H1, H2, H3. And it wasn't long after that, I got the Pache VL3.
Oh, yeah. And I thought everybody started out with Pache, but you started out with a Binks. I never heard of a Binks.
Binks Wren. Binks makes big spray equipment, like to paint houses and stuff. And they had this little airbrush, and I looked at it, I thought, well, this is not what Ed Roth was using,
Yeah, they used one shot back then, did they? When they used one shot, when y'all using one shot?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that Ed Roth was either using black one shot or he was using India ink, one of the two.
So, did you once you got it, did you start working at an airbrush shop?
Well, I started doing that, and then I airbrushed surfboards, and I was airbrushing all kinds of stuff, some people's cars and vans. And then this place opened up in Fort Walton, this Fort Walton Square. It was called Freewheelin' Franklin's Body Shop. And it had all these clothes from like New York City, all the platform shoes, all that stuff from the 80s,
Yeah.
And they gave me a spot. Linda and Vinny Shetty were their names. And they gave me a little stage in the front window where everybody walked by. And so I didn't really start airbrushing t-shirts. I did do a few in there, but I was doing like these long knit dresses, jackets, one Sunday morning I was in there and this big tour bus pulled up, and Willie Nelson.
Oh, wow.
And Johnny Paycheck. I forget the other guy's name. Anyway, they got on this bus and they started hitting golf balls across the parking lot because there's nobody there. And then they came in, and I think Willie got like a white jacket, and on the lapels I did like a desert scene with a couple of cow skulls and wagon wheels and cactus at sunset.
Yeah.
Johnny Paycheck, he had this kicker hat on, and I airbrushed like a Western scene on it. And those were my first big clients. And to tell you the truth, I didn't even know who the hell they were back then. I was like,
oh, wow.
I heard of Willie Nelson, but this Johnny Paycheck guy, I wasn't sure about him. And I can't think of the other guy's name that was touring with him, but he was a big country Western guy. And then this is the same time that the iron-on transfers from Roach were really big. Remember Roach iron-ons?
I think so.
Anyway, this guy in Ohio, Stan Peterson, he owned Roach. And anyway, this guy that was downtown on the strip, he came. They called his wife's name was Tiger, but it was Tiger's T-shirt shop. And he built me a stand in the front of his window, and a lot more people walking around downtown than there were over in this strip mall thing. And they were taking a percentage. I think they gave me 80% at Freewheel and Franklin. So this guy came along and he goes, well, if you just put names on the back of these iron-on shirts, I'll give you 100% of what you make.
Wow. That was
And
the best
I was like, wow, how could I say no to that?
Yeah.
That's insane back then. I remember a couple of days, I was making like $200 or $300, and this is years and years ago. So I thought, man, I have really hit something big here. But this guy was really tough to work for. His name was Bill Matheny, real cool guy, but he wanted you to be there night and day.
Yeah. So that was when you first started. That's those are real thick transfers, right? Back then.
Yeah. Plastisol transfers.
Plastisol, yeah.
Speaking of transfers, Tom Davison, he was the guy that came up with the idea of doing a black outline of a car.
I remember
ironing it on the shirt and then airbrushing it in. How genius is that?
Yeah, I have some around here. I bought some back in the day.
Man, we were blowing them out. Anybody could airbrush a hot rod car when he came along with that.
Yeah, all you do is add the color to it. Yeah. So, how long did you? When did you? That was still in Michigan. You were still in Michigan.
What was that?
Were you still in Michigan then when you were doing that?
No. I actually was born in Michigan, and 3 weeks later, my dad got transferred and we moved somewhere else.
Oh.
But people asked me where I was born. I said Detroit. Everybody goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." But I've never even been back there. I met a couple of guys that airbrush in Detroit that worked in the car industry there a long time ago. But we moved to Florida when I was like 9 or 10 years old, something like that.
Oh wow! So you're basically a Floridian.
I love Florida, man. I've been all over the world, surfing, airbrushing. I lived in Honolulu and airbrushed for 3 or 4 years.
What year were you in Hawaii?
1978, 79, 80, 81.
Because when I was stationed in Hawaii, somebody painted us some shirts, and I can't find the artist who did it. That was my first shirt was in 80.
There were very few guys painting shirts back then. Dennis Matheson, he's over there now.
Yeah.
But he was in Daytona Beach when he started, and he started airbrushing shirts,
Yeah.
This painting behind me.
Yeah, that's Dennis's. Yeah.
That's Dennis right there. Yeah. Man, the guy does this on metal.
Yeah.
He grinds it out, paints it. I mean, he's a genius when it comes to that. He's got to be one of my favorite artists.
I went to Hawaii and after a while, and I went to go visit his shop when he had a shop over there.
Yeah. He had, what was it? He had a really cool name for his shop.
Oh shit, I can't think of it. I know he gave me some stencils when we sat and talked for a little bit. Then we had to go.
I just have a brain freeze, but it was some really cool name. Not Sonic, but not Atomic Airbrush. It was something really cool. Anyway, I've got one of his T-shirts that has the name on it. I just can't remember what it was.
So when did you decide to open up your own shop?
Well, I worked in a lot of different shops. It was a lot easier. In Fort Walton Beach, there were a million T-shirt shops back in the day. I was the first airbrush artist on the Strip. The next day, this guy across the street, he opened up in this other shop, and he was a firefighter, actually. I can't remember what his name was, but I had a Chevy van. He had a Chevy van. I airbrushed murals on both sides of my van. 2 days later, he had airbrush murals on the side of his van. So I was just kind of doing it so people could find where I was at. And then, Terry Hill, Don Ashwood, Mike McBride, Susie McBride. There were so many, Scotia Dowell. There were so many, Scott Wilson. There's so many great, Mickey Harris. So many great airbrush artists came out of Fort Walton Beach. Mickey Harris came to town one summer, and I met him. I just quit at that Tigers place because I couldn't work all those hours or whatever. And Mickey went in there and painted a shirt. And he was an artist, but he was going to school to be a hairdresser.
Oh wow!
No, he's going to kill me for telling everybody that. But Mick was going to be a hairdresser, and I looked at the shirt he painted. I was like, "No, you're not going to be a hairdresser, dude."
It probably was good money back then too, but it was a lot of y'all.
Well, the first day I was down there on the strip, I was making $200 or $300 a day. Hell, that was back in, gosh, the late 70s.
Oh, that was good money back then.
Oh man, I was thrilled. I was like, man, I can do this and make this kind of money. And I think as far as the best years for airbrush were 2001 to like 2007.
Yeah.
In Panama City Beach, because that was the heyday. Everybody, the beach was packed. Everybody was buying airbrush. That was back when there was like 300 airbrush artists in Panama City Beach. Over 300 maybe. And now, I'm telling you, Ralph, there's not hardly even 30 airbrush artists here.
In Florida? In Panama?
Yeah, in Panama City Beach, where there used to be 300, I bet there's not 30.
That's crazy. I don't think it's dying out. I just think it's like a lot of people are going underground, or they're not really posting as much.
Well, there was a recession after 2007, and then 2017, a little bit of a recession. A lot of these artists, airbrush is a luxury item. People don't have to have it. Now, some people have enough income where they can afford to still go buy it, but other people, they have to decide when they're on vacation between hotel, food. Can I afford an airbrush t-shirt? And, I even saw a little bit of that this year as well. But, we've had a pretty good season all in all. But, I said in a couple of interviews, I said, airbrush art is ego art. And as long as people have egos, they're going to buy airbrush.
Yeah.
Their name, get their pet, get their car. Yeah. Anything that says, hey, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I do. As long as they have egos and they can afford to buy it, they're going to get airbrush.
Yeah. Yeah. I slowed down. It's like it fluctuates, but I'm just as busy as I've always been. So it's just like I have my seasons, but I always have something else I can fall off onto to do to like.
Oh man, I'm telling you, when I met you and watched what you were doing, you have to be the biggest hustler in this business, man. You got your shop on wheels. You're doing caricatures. You got videos. You got all kinds of stuff going on. You got, you're in 2 or 3 different locations. It just seems like you never stop, Ralph.
Yeah, it's I stay busy. I don't ever stay still. That's the one thing.
Well, you're inspiring. I'm telling you, you changed how my thought process goes when I met you. And I'm not just saying that. It's the truth.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Well, it's it's like I read something the other day. It said, these crackheads, they get up every day and they're hustling because they got some crack,
Yeah.
Don't let this crackhead beat you on the hustle. And I'm thinking,
oh yeah, you ever hear crackheads say they can't get the money for crack?
Yeah. Well, that's incentive. When I met you and saw what all you were doing, I'm thinking, oh man, I'm never gonna be able to do all the stuff he does. I can't keep up with him. You're a younger man than I am too, but
not very much. I'm getting old now, man. You don't see all this gray hair?
Ralph, I'm 71 now.
Oh man.
I started airbrushing when I was 13 years old.
Damn.
I know. Scary.
Yeah, you still getting out there on that water, man?
Yeah, I still kiteboard and wing foil and all that, Yeah. Got a trip planned to the Keys here for the fall.
Yeah. Do you have you been to Hawaii and they water or did it?
I've been back to Hawaii, but just to windsurf and get on the water, not to paint. Hawaii has changed a lot.
Yeah, it was
definitely fire in Maui last year, man. That was devastating. Dennis lost all of his artwork in the Wyland Gallery.
Oh yeah, I remember when I talked to him.
The whole town burnt down, It'll take a long time for that to come back and be anything close to what it once was.
That was Maui, wasn't it?
Yeah, Maui.
Maui, yeah. Yeah.
You know, they say Maui no ka oi, which means Maui is the best, and it really is.
I don't think I've been on Maui. When I was in the Army, we was on the Big Island, and the Big Island had a bunch of volcanoes over there, and we had all that lava rock everywhere.
Yeah, the sands of Kalapana, that black sand beach, that's beautiful, man. That's on the Big Island. I mostly lived on Oahu when I was there, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice. That's why I think that's where his shop was at on Oahu.
Yeah. I worked in a couple of different places on Oahu, and I was airbrushing surfboards at a lot of the surfboard factories there. I'd airbrush T-shirts in the daytime, and I'd go at night and airbrush surfboards at night.
Oh, wow. Is it a different kind of paint, or y'all was using the same paint?
I was using the same, just acrylic paint, because they fiber, after they shape the board and it's on foam, you airbrush on the foam, you tape it off, and then they laminate it with the. Back then it wasn't epoxy, it was all polyester surfboards. But yeah, that was fun.
You ever thought about coming out with your own surfboard?
Doing what now?
Coming out with your own kind of like wind surfboards, or you do already?
Well, I've been through all that. I used to shape and glass surfboards and all this stuff, and I still work with a few companies, these kiteboard companies, little design stuff, just like the airbrush stuff, the cutaway handle, that was mine. I mean, the bullet tip, that was my idea. The ergonomic handle, that was my idea. The silent air compressor thing, I'm like that in the wind sport industry too. I like to come up with little doodad stuff,
Yeah. You still have your scooter? We were looking at. I never got one.
Got what now?
Those little scooters we were looking at that one time.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever get?
Dude, you and I have both ridden Harleys. We've ridden the big bikes. We've had all kinds of toys.
Yeah.
And you know what? I sold all the big bikes. I got a couple little electric scooters. I got a couple of electric bikes, and I just bought a Honda 125 Trail to put on the back of my motorhome. And it's a fruity, fun little bike, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
All the accessory stuff on it. It'd be great for scooting around the Keys.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because that's all you need nowadays. All that other stuff is like.
Well, they charge for parking out the yin yang all throughout the Keys. But if you're on a scooter, they don't charge you to park. You can park that scooter almost anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah.
So, I mean, it's $20 an hour to park down there.
That's how it is in Galveston, where I'm from, on the beach.
Yeah.
Even if you live there, you have to park. You have to pay to park on the beach. That's
well, Cocoa Beach has got that, and now it's all gone. You got an app, you got Flowbird, you got all these apps to park, and you got to tell what space you're in, what lot you're in. The first time I did all that, I thought my brain was going to melt. But then once I figured it out, it's okay. You just pay to park all day. That's the cheapest.
Yeah. Yeah. So how often are you in the shop nowadays?
I go in almost every day. I love running that laser cutter, man. While these other guys are pounding away in the spring and the summer, I'm coming up with new designs, and I go in there and I cut them almost every single day. And then, I'm replenishing the stencils that we have, because we have over 1,000 designs. And, once you use those, I don't know, maybe 1,000 times, you got to have another stencil cut, and then you got to have them cut different sizes. You got to have the pocket size. You got to have the kid size. You got to have a hat size. You got to have big for the back. And that's the coolest thing about this laser. You drop a design with a Sharpie pen, then you scan it, then you turn it into a DXF file, and you stick it on this laser, and
does all the work.
Boom, you can make it any size. You can double cut them. You can make as many as you want. It's an awesome machine.
Yeah. You sell your stencils. You sell stencil packets still?
Yeah, I have some for sale. I've got a whole new body painting thing, face painting kit, and I've got it finished. I've just got to finish up the marketing on it and get it packaged. But it's really cool. It's got, designs for girls, designs for boys, and then it has they all come with a 4 different textures for the background. So you put the stencil on, you paint around it, you put this texture on, do that, and pull it off, fill in a little bit of color. Boom, you're done. It's like a turnkey, airbrush tattoo shop.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool because Halloween's coming up. Face painting and body painting is still like a big thing at parties and whatnot.
Well, I've painted at Fantasy Fest for like 35 years. Every Halloween for I didn't do it the last 2 or 3 years. I was down there, but this year I'm going down to paint again. You should come with me.
Oh yeah, that sounds
serious.
Fun. It sounds fun. I don't know if I'll be able to act right though.
Oh, Pam would kill you.
Yeah.
My wife used to go pull them off the street. She'd bring in the most beautiful women for me to paint that there were, and I was like, awesome.
Yeah. See, it was the bike rally in Galveston. I set up one time, but I was doing t-shirts, but they were looking for body painters, or they wasn't really looking for shirts back then. So I don't know. It was but I have done a couple of body paint jobs. It was kind of fun.
My buddy from Key West, he's actually one of the guys that painted with us on the strip, Joe Carter. Joe Carter has been in Key West for, 30 or 40 years. And we used to go to Mardi Gras and airbrush shirts. So we're at Mardi Gras one year, Joe's there, and this rugby team comes up. It's kind of cold. And all the guys pulled off their shirts and says, "We want these letters on our chest. How much will you charge us?" And Joe said, "Well, we'll have to charge you the same amount as we're painting a t-shirt." "That's fine, do it." Then all their girlfriends pulled off their shirts.
Oh, wow.
And it said, "We want the same thing." And Joe and I looked at each other and like, "Are we going to charge them for this?" And Joe said, "Hell yeah." So anyway, that Fantasy Fest, that same year, Joe started body painting in Key West.
Wow.
I mean, Joe Carter is still known as one of the very best body painters on the planet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. What a job, huh?
Yeah, what a job. What a job. What's surfing? How long have you been surfing? How long you started surfing? You've been surfing the whole time, right?
Well, I've been surfing since I was probably 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I surfed all over the world. I went on the Indo trip and all that from Hawaii, and been all through the Caribbean.
You ever did it for competitive?
I surfed in the U.S. Championships in 2 different years. I think it was I know one of them was 1974. I surfed in the U.S. Championships because I won the Gulf Coast Championships that year. And then I can't remember if it was 82 or one of those years I surfed. That year in 74, I surfed in the men's division. The next time I surfed in senior men's division. And, I did really good on the Gulf Coast surfing circuit. But, man, when I got to the U.S. Surfing Championships, I got beat down, man. I was up against some of the best surfers in the world, and it was so much fun.
It seems like a rugged. It doesn't seem like it's rugged, but that water seems like it kind of beats y'all down a little bit, especially fall.
Well, the surf's different every single day, and when they schedule a contest, you just hope and pray the surf's going to be really good that day, yeah. Because some days it's not. I mean, like here on the Gulf Coast where I live, 5 or 6 days out of the entire year, it gets really, really, really good. And you got to have a job where you can just say, "I ain't going to work today. I'm surfing all day,"
Yeah.
So if, you want to get out there, you go.
So what would you say is your busiest time of season? What's your busiest season? Is it the summer or spring break?
Well, spring break used to be super, super busy. This year, it wasn't that busy. And we're all looking at each other going like, what's going on? And then when school gets out, around the 1st of June, it just is slamming. And July is always the busiest month of the entire year for us.
I thought they passed a law about the spring break. Is that down in Florida too?
Well, this is what they did here. In the month of April, you can't have any alcohol on the beach. So now everybody just waits until the 1st of March and they come down and drink alcohol on the beach. And I mean, we get some crazy stuff going on, all kinds of crazy stuff happens, but for the most part, we love the families that come down
Yeah.
The spring breakers, you know, they're more interested in drinking and partying. Every now and then, a bunch of them will come in and get the same thing on a shirt, you know, but they're not our favorite customers. They're not our best customers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we still love them. Come see us.
Yeah, come on down. So where did the name Big Airbrush come from?
You know, this is really weird. When I first went in to Walmart, I was at Trader Rick's. Big name on the beach, you know. Pat Gaines started the thing there at Trader Rick's with all the airbrush stuff. And, you know, when I went to work there, Scott Fitzgerald, not a lot of people have heard that name, but he is one of the best airbrush artists you'll ever see. Pat Reynolds was working there. Tom Davison was working there. Pat was working there. I was working there. Who was the other guy? Oh, we had that first, you know, that robot painting machine that was in Disney for a long time?
Yeah.
That was there with us that year. We called him Fred, I think. I don't know. But you know, there was a lot of great airbrush artists there back in the day. But then I went on, it's a long story, but I had this opportunity to go into Walmart. And everybody goes, what? Walmart? You're not going to make any money in Walmart.
Shit.
So I was still at Trader Rick's. So I built the booth inside Walmart, put 3 artists in there, hired them, and they were making more money than I was at Trader Rick's. So I said, gotta go, you know? And I mean, you know, more people shop in Walmart every day than probably any place in the world.
That's the biggest foot traffic.
It used to be 24/7, but now I think they just open 6 till 11 at night. And in the season, we were open from 8 in the morning till 11 at night. Now, after everybody went back to school, our hours are 9 to 9, but we're still open 8 days a week.
8 days a week.
You know, I've got all these signs up in the shop, Ralph, and the only one that anybody reads is the sign that says open 8 days a week. And look at that. They go, oh, they're open 8 days a week. And it's the only sign anybody reads. They don't read signs.
Yeah, nobody reads. They don't read.
Nobody, if they're on vacation, they're not reading the sign.
Yeah. So have you had a lot of artists come through there, or
you know,
I know you got like a couple of people.
The more stores that I opened, you know, the more artists I had to hire.
Yeah.
And you know, some artists work out and some don't. A lot of these guys, you know, a lot of these guys have just worked for themselves and done mail order stuff. And when you interview them, they come in and they're looking, you know, most of my guys have worked together for over 25 years.
Yeah, that was what I say. You had the same crew for a while.
Everybody's lettering looks pretty much the same. The colors, everything's going, you know. And these guys will come in and a lot of them are like prima donnas. You know, they're like, everybody told me I'm good, so I'm good. I'm really good. And you look at their lettering and you're going, you know, that's still the main thing.
Yeah, it's lettering.
They may be able to paint a beach scene a little bit, you know, but and everybody's got their forte, you know. Some people are really good at cars or portraits or whatever. But the lettering thing, these guys, I mean, my lettering is not fantastic. There's guys like Earl Poole that works for me. His lettering is fantastic. You know, Marty Figlinski used to work for us. He does just oil paintings now. He sells his paintings for like $10,000, stuff like that, you know. Yeah. But, you know, his lettering was phenomenal. So was his stencil design stuff. Thanks, Marty. You know, one of the guys that I worked with, he was at a place on the Strip when I started working at Trader Rick's after Pat left, and I talked him into coming and work for us. His name's Tim Mitchell. Right. And every shop you go in on Panama City Beach, you're going to see 5 or 10 of his designs from 10 or 15, 20 years ago.
I'm pretty sure y'all was originating. All of y'all was originators of all those like beach designs and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, I came up with the idea. I don't know how long ago it's been. You know, the block lettering with the scenes inside, like the beach scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
I've been doing that, you know, practically the whole time I've been airbrushing. You know, that's a long time.
Yeah. I was gonna say y'all probably the one of the originators of probably 90% of the designs and stuff like that.
Well, you know, everybody likes to copy everybody else's designs. You know,
Yeah, that's it
and
used to be the stigma of everybody hiding their designs and no one.
yeah, you know, we don't care about any of that really. You know, it's all about, Ralph, location, location, location. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got a great location, there's a million people walking by your shop every day, you're going to make money.
Yeah. And you can tell that you don't care because you post the pictures of like the big wall or you have all of your designs. You post your design. So, yeah.
We don't care. We don't care. And you know what? A lot of ours are very intricate stencil designs from our laser.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell anybody can just go paint that circular hibiscus design. You know, there's a lot of designs that there's no way anybody can just go paint unless they have our DXF files.
It ain't gonna look the same. No matter what, it's not gonna look the same.
Yeah. Well, one of the guys that used to airbrush for me, the day I fired him, the day he left, he took my hard drive with all my DXF designs on it. That's like industrial espionage or something. I don't know. But, you know, I guess he figured, oh, he got me.
But you had a backup?
Oh, yeah. I got everything backed up. You know that.
Yeah. Well, we've known you from the magazine. I have questions that you remember questions I asked. So many people ask me the question. We've known you from the magazines. How has it that you changed for your social media?
Well, you know, everything used to be in print. You know, I was in the first airbrush magazine ever. I think that was, gosh, when was that? 1982? Yeah, 1982, I think. There's this magazine. It's just called, let me see. It's in my book.
Was it before Cliff?
Yeah. They didn't last very long.
Oh, okay.
That magazine right there, and those are two of my stencil designs on the cover. It's just called Airbrush. But you know, everything used to be in print. Everything. There was no internet. There was no social media. Everything was in a magazine, or you know, in the magazines there were airbrush ads.
Yeah.
And I've been in a lot of these ads for different paint companies, airbrush companies. You know, the coolest guy in this industry that I think I've ever worked for was Vince Kennedy at Createx Paint. That dude was so ingenious with his marketing. Yeah, you know, even his paint today, his son's taken over. You know, Vince, rest in peace, passed away, but he was the coolest guy ever, man. He took me on trips to Europe to sell paint. He took me all over the United States. I mean,
yeah, that's crazy. Y'all probably was around with all the originators of all that kind of stuff.
Well, you know, talking about paint in the past, I think when Trump put the tariffs on China, you know, that ruined the paint stuff pretty much. There's still some fairly good paint out there.
Yeah.
But nothing like it was. I think all that fluorescent pigment, especially the fluorescent pigment, came from China and it was a lot finer ground. Yeah. Now all this pigment's coming from India and it's not as finely ground and the colors are not the same.
Yeah.
You know? And it costs more. You know that. Gosh dang, a quart of paint's what, 40 something bucks?
Yeah. Everything went up.
You know, when I first started, I was taking Liquitex paint in a tube and I was squeezing it out into a bottle. You know, I was straining it through pantyhose and putting it in, mixing it with water and rubbing alcohol.
Oh, wow.
That's what I was painting shirts with. And, you know, it still lasted pretty good. And then there was this stuff called Aquaset that was actually silkscreen ink. And you could buy it in a quart and mix it with water. It was silkscreen ink. Of course, you know, all this you have to heat set. but we were using silkscreen ink. And then, like you said, a lot of people use One Shot.
Yeah.
And then, Createx came along, and Aquaflow came along, and then ETAC came along. And I think there's a few other paint companies out there now.
Yeah. It's a Jacquard or something like that.
Yeah, there's a few, and Hugo, he's down there in Mexico, and he's making some paint now.
Oh wow. Yeah, I know Chino is over ETAC now.
Who owns ETAC?
Huh?
Didn't William sell ETAC to somebody?
Chino.
Chino's got it. Chino bought it. Wow,
Chino has ETAC.
that's
So
awesome.
what do y'all use over there? Y'all using Createx still?
Well, it's funny, some colors work best from this company, some colors work better from that company, and there's a big shooting match.
Yeah.
And
I remember back in the day it used to be Aquaflow black, Createx white, and it was like you mixed all your paints up to get the best.
I've always used gesso for white.
Gesso?
Gesso, you put on a canvas prime.
Yeah.
Works great. Covers good, washes well. And I got my own formula for black, and it works really good, flows great. These people, all these reducers that you can put in with your paint, all these companies make, a lot of that, it'll make your paint flow better, but it makes it wash out easier too.
Yeah.
What is that stuff called? It's some kind of synthetic reducer, and it's actually a type of soap, I think.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I tried the ETAC white. I didn't like it.
Well, the problem with all these paint companies is consistency. You might get a good bottle this month, but next month it's going to be something totally different, turn into Jello in the bottle. And I feel for the paint people because they have had a tough time. But for God's sakes, I'd love to see Liquitex make some airbrush t-shirt paint, because their paint is so buttery smooth. Their Liquitex, their acrylic paint.
Yeah.
They made a t-shirt paint. They own the market.
Oh, you ought to talk to them. You got a little fool.
I've tried to talk to them. They're so hard to get to.
So who's your main clientele? Is it more people who visit, or is it more people?
I would have to say it's tourists. Our website does really good. We get orders from all over the place. I mean, our website has really taken off.
Yeah.
And we're getting orders from all over the place. But, we've got it where they can order online and either come in and pick it up, or we'll ship it to them.
Oh, nice.
So it's nice when they can order it online and not have to go stand in line and just come pick it up.
Yeah.
Or we can Uber it to them,
That's the thing now.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're doing it.
I had people Uber me, Uber or drop off a shirt, or Uber to come pick it up. Like,
yeah, that's, everybody's gotten so incredibly lazy.
Yeah. She said, I don't feel like coming over there. I'm going to Uber it to you. Just go outside and pick it up.
When people have their Chinese food Uber to them and it costs twice as much, they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
I was going to order something from Dairy Queen with the Uber price, well, not the DoorDash price, and the food, it was $75. I'm like, 2 blocks down the road. I'm coming to get it. Don't worry about it.
People do it all day, every day. And this thing at Walmart, they got this thing where they'll shop for you and they'll bring it to the parking lot and load it in your car, or they'll deliver it to your house.
Yeah. We got a store, HEB does that. You can shop online. And all you got to do is drive by and pick it up, or they'll deliver it to you.
Dude, I'm the kind of guy that still washes my own car. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go through a car wash. I'm not going to have some food Ubered to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just not
doing it. Somebody's car, you don't know what's going on.
I'm way too cheap, man.
All that money you got, man.
Hey, I've had fun, and I intend to have fun until I die. So
I hear that. What is the well, somebody asked, what is the craziest thing or odd thing you've painted?
What besides boobs?
Yeah, well,
Body painting is pretty odd, you know.
yeah.
'Cause, I mean, I've been doing it for 30-something years, Polly. Polly. Woohoo! I've been doing that body painting for like 30, 35 years. And it's funny, when I first started painting these women 30 years ago, they were up here. And every year they go
Yeah, they drop a little bit.
back up, you know, every 10 years. And
Yeah.
Polly, I got a picture that Polly painted for me somewhere around here.
Oh, Polly Conifer.
Yeah.
Did I say that right, Conifer?
Yep. I've got a painting that Polly did for me.
The Polly Smallies.
Right there, Polly.
Oh,
Remember that? My dad on his motorcycle.
oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I got artwork I try to get artwork from all my favorite people. I mean, you did my book cover.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And I just bought this painting from my buddy in Bali. His name's Wayne Balu.
That's
Hey.
on canvas.
Hangs this on a canvas and he rolls it up and sends it to you from Bali. And
Nice.
now I've got the Dennis Matheson stuff.
You said you just got some more stuff from there.
Max Sturdivant did this on my Bernese Mountain Dog, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got artwork from a lot of my friends that, you know.
Tracy McKenzie said, hey.
Hey, Tracy. Tracy's a madman with a pinstripe brush.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And if you want to get into pinstriping, he sells brushes, custom brushes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He'll hook you up, man. He's got some good stuff.
So
I know it's amazing how many people we all know. It's like our own little community, you know?
Yeah, I got our own little tribe everywhere. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
It kind of, like I said, it has slowed down a little bit. You don't see as much conversations or posting on all the social networks anymore. Because all the classes are gone.
Well, you know that airbrush events dude, I mean, he flies all over the place, flies his artists in and all that. And, you know, people like him do those events keep airbrush in the back of people's minds. I mean, you know, people come to Panama City Beach, they still call us to do all their event stuff, but that's cool.
I've never been to Panama. I went to Orlando 4 times maybe. But
You go right past me.
man,
You know Sly, don't you?
yeah.
Sly came and his woman, they came to see me a couple times, man.
I'm a come. I said I don't like Florida no more, but I'm gonna ride up there. I'll go up there.
Yeah.
For
You
Salon.
need to come by. I'll give
I'll
you
go by.
the grand tour.
Yeah. So I can take my camera and take a picture of all your designs you got up there.
That's fine. I don't care. I'll give you stencils. I don't care, Ralph.
Yeah.
I love you, man. You're inspirational to me.
Yeah. So what advice can you give to the young person starting out now?
Well, you know, repetition is the mother of perfection. When you start airbrushing, it's all about texture, creating texture. You know, making this stroke look like a cloud, making this stroke be a rat tail design like the palm trees, you know. And each letter, look at it like an individual landscape. And, you know, everybody has 5 different ways to make an uppercase A.
Yeah.
Just practice those strokes over and over and over where you don't have to think about it, you know, thick to thin, thick to thin. And, you know, I would say just practice your lettering, because everything else, if you've got that down to a science, everything else will be pretty easy.
Yeah, because it just, the lettering just makes everything pops better.
Well, like I said, Tom Davison, Ken Johnson, you know, there are some really good people. Dale, the airbrush guy, you know, there's some fantastic lettering guys out there. And, you know, if you get it down to where your composition is good and you can do like 5 different styles of lettering, the scratchy stuff,
Yeah.
the block or balloon letters, a good script, you know. We've got one called Curly Q that's kind of a hippie looking,
Yeah, I call it hippie.
you know. And, you know, if you could just down 5 fonts and post them and put that up and learn those inside out, you know. And, you know, one thing I see a lot of these guys do, the newer guys, when they do like a pocket size name, they'll do it really big, you know, or any lettering they do is just like really big. Think about composition. Think about keeping it compact. And one thing about lettering, keep it legible.
Yeah.
Because mom and dad are usually paying for it, and they won't be able to read that name on there. They want to look at it and go, what does that say?
Yeah, y'all have a Florida. I think Florida set the standard of the lettering, the way y'all letter.
We've got some really good lettering guys, and we've all learned from each other here. You know, Martin Figlinski, there's a guy named Rich here on the beach, and he does a silkscreen thing now, but he has some pretty cool lettering. Tim Mitchell's always had great lettering.
Yeah. Y'all pretty much set the standard because it's legible. It's always uniform. So
Yeah. Being consistent with that is going to make you stand out and be hireable, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, all the guys that work for me, you know, I've got Donovan Mitchell and his wife, Nancy, Steve Phillips, you know, like I say, and these other guys, most of them that work for me have really good lettering.
Yeah.
But they've learned off each other and they copy each other's stuff. And that one of them will come in, work there for a few years. Then everybody's looks the same. That way, when somebody orders a design off the wall, you know, Tracy, bad lettering could kill the best shirt design.
Yeah. I've seen some portraits that
That's
was
true.
awesome. I've seen some portraits that was really awesome. But then they did some writing on it, and it just killed the whole shirt. It just killed it.
Well, Tracy's lettering, you know, he's a pinstripe artist and he airbrushes shirts and everything. And that man can kill with a pinstripe brush.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I like Todd Hansen, and I would say probably Tracy's right in there with Todd, you know. He does bikes all over the place. He goes to all these motorcycle shows.
You know, they always had that big bike rally at Galveston.
We got 2 big bike rallies here every year, you know, one in the spring, one in the fall. It's called Thunder Beach. And it's pretty big. Tracy was just in Sturgis.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sturgis. I heard it's Sturgis.
Yeah.
So how many stores do you have at this point?
How many what?
Stores. How many big airbrush stores are there?
Oh, stores. I thought you said something else for it. I was like, I got one in Fort Walton Beach. I've got 2 here on Panama City Beach. And then we have one in Myrtle Beach. And next year we'll have 2 in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And, you know, I had the 3 in Orlando. That's another story.
Yeah. I had, at one point I had 3, but it became such a problem for me. It's like you have to too much micromanaging, and then it's like you expect people to do something and they don't do it, so you have to figure it out and do it. You got to get over there and do it.
Well, you know, I have had artists steal from me.
Yeah, we all had that.
Well, you know, I feel like I pay them pretty doggone good, you know, probably the best pay in the industry. And, you know, it's funny. They think that we're dumb, you know, Ralph. And when you catch them stealing, you confront them with it, they're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you right here on camera, you know, and you explain it to them, and they're like, oh, wow. Yeah. The next day, they've unfriended you on Facebook, and they don't want to ever see you or talk to you again. They don't want to mention your name, you know.
You the role. You was in the role.
Well,
they do it like you in the role, but I caught you.
Yeah, but you know, everybody's delusional, you know, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
The thieves always think they're smarter than everybody else. Oh, I'm smarter than they won't catch me. Guess what? Been around a while.
Yeah, yeah. Everything has happened before.
Yeah. Well,
if you could do it all over again, what would you change?
Well, I would have branched out a lot sooner and gotten more stores and more artists going. You know, when you're trying to do it all yourself,
yeah,
it's a lot simpler. But it's like McDonald's. You know, if you can repeat a successful operation in a bunch of different locations, you're going to make more money. And it's all about making money, but you know, you got to keep that quality up. And it's so hard to find airbrush artists that are.
A lot of the artists don't have the
full-time airbrush artists right now in my flagship store. I've interviewed several. Don't have one yet.
They don't all have the same passion like you have.
Polly, I would have drank more. Polly, I drank quite a bit when I was young, but I don't have but maybe 1 or 2 beers a month now.
A month?
Month, maybe.
Man, I had 2 yesterday, 3 yesterday.
What kind of beer do you drink?
Heineken.
Heineken, that's my man. I love Heineken. You know, it's funny, Ralph, I'll start with a Heineken. This is what I used to do. I start with a Heineken. Then I might go to something like, you know, a Grolsch or something like that. Try to drink all the beer in the green bottle. And then I go like, well, maybe I have a Corona. And then next thing I know, I'm drinking Budweiser, you know. I'm like, yeah, I'm winding it down fast here.
Yeah. Paulie said he's available.
Come on, Paulie. It's not our season coming up here, but I need a full-time artist. I know you can do it. You'd love Panama City Beach, dude. Anybody would.
It's summer all year long, huh?
Well, it's been known to get cold here. I mean, it'll get 32 degrees here 2 or 3 times out of the year, you know, in the winter. That's why I've been going to the Keys for the past 30-something years in the winter.
That's the good thing when you can run from it.
Yeah, well, you know, you just drive into South Florida. It's 15 hours from here.
Oh, Paulie said he got to get. Paulie talking a lot. Paulie said he got to get his lettering back up.
Well, you know, I see the little tiny detailed stuff he does. He, you know, he's a lot of these people come in. I've had 2 people interview this week. One of them was a cake decorator girl.
Oh Lord.
This other girl just popped in, kind of a little hippie chick. Oh yeah, I think I can do it.
Oh,
I think you ever had an airbrush in your hand before? Well, no, but I'm a pretty good artist. I think I can do it. They put the airbrush in their hand and they're like, "Wow, this is kind of harder than I thought."
Yeah, they don't know how to work that. If they can't work that trigger, I used to have a lot of tattoo artists do that. Oh, this is easy. I do tattoos. Like, okay, it's totally different thing.
Yeah,
2 different animals.
The cake decorator found that out as soon as she put that airbrush in her hand. She says, "Ooh." Yeah. But you know, I hate to say it's a dying art, but you know, there's not a lot of people painting T-shirts these days.
Here's the thing: when they brought out those little Cricut machines, everybody started doing vinyl letters. But it's still a market out there for us.
Well, there is. You know, I was one of the first guys to have a vinyl lettering machine. This friend of mine had Airbrush Alabama in somewhere up there in Alabama. Where was it? Anyway, his name was Phil Waits, and he had this little store in a mall that said Airbrush Alabama. I stopped in to see him one time, and he had a vinyl lettering plotter, you know.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh man, it's super easy to run." You know, I'm looking at it. I'm going, I don't know, man. But he got me into doing the vinyl lettering, and then I figured out I could put 2 sheets of 5 mil Duralar back to back, spray adhesive it, one for a backing, one to cut, and then I was cutting my stencils on that to start. Wow. Then the laser idea came along, and I got to give credit where credit's due. You know, Tim Mitchell said, "Hey, let's do this CO2 laser thing," and you know they're not cheap. but they're so efficient. I mean, I own two of them right now, and they're the same model, and everything. If you guys want to get into it, this guy in Ohio that owns Rabbit Laser, him and his wife, super nice folks. They got the best price on them. They can troubleshoot from wherever. He'll actually come tune up your laser for a price. I just had a new I'm using this Lightburn software now, and it's pretty awesome.
So you run 5 mil model?
I was using 5 mil, and when I put it on the plotter, I was cutting with a 65-degree blade instead of a 45-degree blade. It cut that better. But now we're cutting. You can cut through a piece of plexiglass, 1/4-inch plexiglass. We're cutting 10 mil Duralar on it. You know, you can cut 2 layers of 10 mil Duralar on it. It's like butter. That way you can cut out 2 at a time.
Yeah.
Chino, I'm telling you secrets. Tommy, I'm telling you secrets. I've been doing it longer than they have, so I should be able to tell secrets, right?
Yeah. Yes, you're right. It's I think it's a couple of people now starting to sell a bunch of different stencils now.
Yeah, the stencil packages, you know, they're very handy. You know, Ergen Yasser from Australia, I think he's hooked up with Chino, and they collaborate on these designs.
Yeah.
And you know, there's nobody on this earth, on the planet, that can paint a better hat than Ergen.
Yeah, Ergen. I like Ergen.
Man, he's clean, man. He's a great guy too.
Yeah. I think he speaks highly of you too as well. He talks about you a lot.
Ed's saying it's hard for him to find the film. I'll post later where I get all this stuff from. I don't care. I'll tell anybody anything. No, but I order it. When I order it, if you order over $500 of it at a time, it's free shipping.
Yeah, but just because you got it don't mean you know how to work it. That's the thing. So, not saying you. I'm saying whoever. If you put the information out, you still got to have the equipment to do it with. And those machines, what, like $10,000, $15,000?
They used to be. I think you can actually get there's air cooled and there's water cooled. The air cooled ones are super expensive, like $40,000. The water cooled, actually, we put antifreeze in ours to cool the laser tube down, pumps it through there. But you can get those starting at $5,000. You know what costs the money is the format that you get. The bigger the format, the more it costs.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've had this one for like 12 years, and we have beat the crap out of it. We've cut thousands and thousands of stencils on it, and never had a problem with it. Rabbit Laser.
Need to look it up.
Yeah. I was trying to think of the people's name. They're super nice. The couple that owns it, they'll talk to you on the phone. I mean, you get to talk to the real people when you call there.
That's a good thing. It's hard to find that nowadays.
You order it, this guy will drive it to your door and deliver it and set it up for you.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right, we close. We over an hour. And like I said, I'm trying to keep it moderate. So,
are we over an hour?
Yeah, we over. It doesn't take long, right?
No. I wonder if we covered everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Keep a lot of artists.
Well, you know, a lot of artists that I worked with have put me where I am today. It's not just solely on my own. You know, Tom Davison, you know, Ed Roth to start with, Big Daddy Roth, Ken Johnson, Tim Mitchell, Mickey Harris. Mickey Harris is the bomb, you know.
Yeah.
He paints that metal stuff. Phil Roberts is somebody that a lot of people don't know about, but he's a fabulous artist, airbrush artist. Max Servant, Tracy McKenzie, Martin Figlinski. I have Ralph Kelly on here twice.
What?
Ergen Yasser, Mike Royal. I mean, there's so many people, you know, in this industry. Sly. I mean, there's so many people that are just not only, great artists, but great people. Great people.
Yeah.
And I can remember going to the fair when I first started airbrushing, and I'd sit there and I'd always go. There's always some guy putting names on shirts,
Yeah.
This one dude had these Pepsi-sized bottles of paint, so he didn't have to refill them. He's holding this big bottle going up and down the thing. But I would watch those guys for hours, and if I could learn just one stroke of one letter that I could use, I've used that the rest of my life while watching those guys. So, Diane Greer, that name sounds familiar. Where would I know her from, Al? Hey, I got shot in the head.
Oh yeah. So how's what made you decide to write a book?
Well, I go to the Keys. I had this little shack down there in Key West. Had my boat down there in the marina. Had, my scooters and stuff down there. I was kiteboarding every day. And when the pandemic hit, they locked that place down. I couldn't get my boat out of the marina but twice a week.
Oh wow.
And they locked that place down. So I thought, everybody always told me I should write a book because I got such good stories to tell. Ralph, did you read the book?
I read.
I might quiz you right now.
Look, my memory ain't as good as it used to be. I have not read all of it. I read some of it, but my life is chaotic. My life is chaotic.
Well, another thing, who in the hell reads these days?
Well, you have to nowadays, but I need to start back up because I do really need to get back on.
Well, there's a lot of stuff about airbrushing in there, and my compressor design, and how to set up this and do that, and it's got a lot of airbrush stuff in it, but it has a lot of life stories in there too about all these places I went surfing. The jellyfish design back here is a painting that I got from Dennis Matheson.
Yeah. That was one of his big designs, was a jellyfish.
Yeah, I mean, this is a skull jellyfish, and I have another painting that he did out in my motorhome. That's really cool because the jellyfish itself is a skull with all the skullets floating down out of it, But this guy still has the shark template. I had the thing with Medea. I had some stencil designs with them before I started cutting my own.
Oh, yeah. Now all the questions are coming in now.
Huh?
A lot of questions are starting to come in. And so Al said he was from the airbrush action era.
Yeah. Well, airbrush action. I got to be in there a few times. Either Mickey Harris had the airbrush thing, and I had a column in it each time it came out, a little how-to thing.
Yeah.
But Cliff and I were pretty close at one time. He came out with the little handheld stencil burner. He invented that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that would save from having to cut with an X-Acto knife. The little hot knife thing, cut out the.
I think all it was a wood burner. Yeah.
Yeah, just a wood burner with a special tip on it.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, I remember that. I met him a couple of times. I went to the one in San Antonio. He let me come in and walk around. And then it was I went to one in Florida once.
Yeah, in Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cliff used to hang out, man. He's a pretty fun guy. I used to hang out with him. We had a blast.
Yeah. Oak Cliff. He sold it to somebody else, but they never put the book back out.
No.
I think it was only
You got to get advertisers to advertise to pay for printing the magazine.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
Yeah. It's not cheap. It's not
So
cheap. Well,
this guy Michael, he said average age of an airbrush or an airbrush artist is 50 years old. But a lot of these artists, I don't know, man. I started when I was 13.
yeah, I did it once in high school. Then I went to the military. Then I got out. I went to work. I was working at a plant. then I switched over to then I started doing it as a hobby, and then that's when I was starting with the WCA and all of that.
Yeah.
So that's how I got started.
Well, it's been a good ride for me. You know, Pele said soccer has been very good to me. Well, airbrush has been very good to me.
It's a good life. You can make a good living off of it if you do it right.
Yeah, you can. And I think it's still possible, you know. And I mean, right now, heck, I mean, you know, this one guy that manages my stores in Myrtle Beach, he's from Thailand.
Oh, wow.
I brushed with him in Fort Walton Beach, Jimbo Gardner. And I airbrushed with him in Fort Walton Beach at the very beginning days.
Oh.
You know, the stipple with the clothespin?
Yeah.
The dude invented that.
Oh, wow.
First one I ever saw do that. You know, you got to give credit where credit's due. You know, you can sit here and say, yeah, I did all this, I did all that. But truth is, I've seen a lot of people do a lot of things. I like to give people credit for what they've done, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no need to gaslight people or try to steal the thunder, you know?
Yeah.
It'll come back to bite you. And there's just no sense in that, you know?
I mean, yeah, it's a good thing everybody there's a lot of people that invented a lot of. When I first started, I think I remember somebody saying that you was the first person to make $1 billion in a year or.
Yeah.
You remember that rumor that was going around?
Yeah, it wasn't a rumor.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't a rumor.
Good thing then. That's something to brag about right there.
Well, you know, hey, $1 million is nothing these days. I mean, it's just really not.
Yeah, tell that to the person that's in the flea market still trying to make $100 a week.
Well, you know, I saw where if you have a gold bar that's worth $1 million right now, it's 27.4 pounds of gold, a gold bar.
Yeah.
And it just hit $1 million.
Damn.
So
that's a good thing to have, just to have in your safe. Get your hands on.
Gold is always going to hold its value.
Yeah.
But, you know, one thing, when you start out, you know, you got to buy a fleet of airbrushes. You got to airbrush for every color. I was the one that started all that. People don't know that, I don't think. But Mickey Harris will tell you. He saw me do it.
Oh, yeah.
You got to have an airbrush for every color. You got to have a reliable compressor. Then, you know what? You got to have transportation. You got to save up the money, pay off your car. Get a car, drive it, take care of it, do the maintenance on it. You know, don't be buying a new car every year. Then you'll attract some nice lady. Then she'll want to buy a house. Then you'll have to keep working for me the rest of your life, airbrushing, you know. But, you know, a lot of people that have really done well in the airbrush business have taken that airbrush money and invested it in real estate or some other, you know, money market, you know, municipal bonds, you know, take that money and invest it somewhere else other than an airbrush.
Yeah.
And you got to slowly climb those steps. And every now and then you're going to fall backwards a couple of times, especially if you invested in the stock market. But I've been lucky enough to have some really smart people that invest in the market, you know, and they can always give me a little heads up. Hey, better sell all those tech stocks today. You know, and you're going, what do you mean? They're doing so good. They go, no, sell them today. And you better listen to those people because they know way more than my dogs are having a war over here.
I see that. That sounds like a big old dog. Yeah,
this is the Dice right here. Stream and the Dice. Dice is a 198-pound Great Dane.
Golly.
Got him from the pound. Sweet dog.
I truly miss Brian Neely. Doug brought me to invest the stocks.
Yeah, Terry Hill, man. Everybody misses Terry. Yeah.
I never got a chance to meet Terry Hill. I saw him before, I think, but I never really talked to him.
Yeah, well, you know, Terry, he worked for Vince Kennedy at Createx for a long time. And he worked with this guy named Don Ashwood in Fort Walton. And it was weird in the front window where they worked at Jimmy's Newsstand. And they had like this super elaborate painting, and people coming, oh man, how much something like that? They go $4,000, but we can paint this shirt for $20. It was like the carrot, to get people to walk in their shop off the street. Which
Yeah.
is smart, Terry was always a good marketer.
Yeah.
I remember he worked for Thayer and Chandler.
That was a good airbrush too. I think I still have a couple of those.
Yeah, well, you know that story too. There's all kinds of unknown stories in the airbrush world about companies that came and went.
I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of like low-lying stories that don't really talk about that much anymore.
No, it's best not to talk about that stuff. It's interesting to know though.
Yeah. Y'all the originators, y'all ought to know everything. Y'all know all of the ins and outs of it.
Well, you've hustled as much or more than anybody I know, Ralph. You got the caricature thing just blows my mind. How you can capture somebody and make them look like, they're laughing at themselves, but they're going, "Damn, that looks just like me." That's what they do. And then you got your little Air Graphics wagon van. You drive around and paint all the helmets at the ball games and stuff.
Yeah.
You're a madman.
Yeah, it was crazy back then. I'm slowing down a little bit, I feel like.
Well, I used to get out in the very beginning. I was on the road driving around. I'd do malls at Christmas, I'd do flea markets. I did all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I decided that the road was not what I wanted to do.
Yeah, so the store you're in now, you've been in how long?
Huh?
The store you're in now, how long have you been in?
42 years. One of them, the main flagship store. I've been in 3 different locations in that store. I'm in the front end now, and it's no one can come in or out of the store without seeing me. So I'm in a smaller little area, but a lot more traffic comes in.
Yeah, you get everybody that comes in.
Walmarts are so huge that if they go in the wrong end of the store, they don't see you. Yeah, Ollie's saying he did the road for 5 years, and he's right. It'll eat you up in the end.
I never really traveled much.
Tracy McKenzie, man, he's out there on the road. He does all these bike rallies. And, you sit up in a tent, you're working outside in the weather, but, man, he can knock out some bikes, let me tell you. And they look so good. You hear Scooby-Doo over here talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking.
That dog, just like Scooby-Doo in the cartoon. He'll talk to you and he'll be like, "No, dude, I'm talking to you."
He's like, "You ready to eat? Something to eat?"
He just wants to go outside and chase a cat or something. Ow. I had Dice. Cool it. We did 3 stores in Orlando. And I actually sold those to somebody. So there are 3 stores in Orlando, but they're not big airbrush stores.
Yeah. Well, it was good finally getting the chance to get you on here, Mark.
Boy, Ralph, we've been trying to do this for how long?
Man, look, I it's me. I've been procrastinating. It's like I get busy doing something else. I'm like, okay, I got to come home and I got a podcast. But I got to do this here first. So it's football season, so I got to start getting all my football season stuff done. So I have like 2 or 3 parties this weekend I got to do. So, yeah, it's I'm still.
It's nice to be able to step back and step away because my crew will run everything pretty efficiently while I'm not there. If something comes up, they'll call me. Or they could call my dog Dice right here, But, I saw your interview with Dennis Matheson, and I really enjoyed that interview a lot. If anybody missed that one, I'm telling you, go back and watch that one.
Yeah, it's now we're starting to do it more.
How many people have you interviewed now?
I started doing this during COVID because I was bored at home. So I'm like, I'm gonna start doing a podcast. But I really don't like talking to people. That's the crazy part. So so it's the that's why I was calling it first. Like I don't like talking to people, but I'll do the podcast. And so it's been about 4 years now.
Wow.
So I slow down. I get sporadic. So a lot of people call me and ask me questions about it. When is it coming back? When is it coming back? So I said, what better place to start with you? So
I'm glad we finally got to do it, Ralph.
yeah, I'm glad I got you on here, man. Finally.
Always ask me what happened to Uric. Well, Uric just sort of disappeared. I used to be really good friends with Uric. He's a little bit of a strange character, but man, one hell of an artist. I've got a couple of his sweatshirts he painted for me.
Oh wow.
Big portraits on the front of the sweatshirts.
Hold on, I just saw this shirt the other day. That's what I was asking you about. It's right here. The one I had done in Hawaii. I'm trying to find out who painted this shirt. This is like 35 years old.
Holy chamoli.
And I don't remember who painted it.
You know what I think? I think that's Joseph of Waikiki that painted that.
Yeah, I was stationed in Hawaii when this was painted.
He would go into the front of the Royal Hawaiian, that big pink hotel on Kalakaua Avenue, every night at 7:00. And this was the weirdest setup I've ever seen. It may not have been this guy, but he was the only other guy there airbrushing shirts at the same time.
Yeah.
And he'd bring a car tire in full of air. It had a regulator on it, and he did the same thing that Ed Roth did. His slogan was, anything you want for $8 in less than 4 minutes. And that included the t-shirt. That was 1978? Yeah, 1978, I believe. And anyway, he was a caricature artist like you, and he'd say, well, what do you want? I remember watching him do a couple specifically. One guy was driving a Caterpillar, and he always put Waikiki, he put Diamond Head in the background, 2 palm trees.
Yeah.
And then he'd put your name and put Honolulu on the bottom. And he'd do it with a black airbrush, from that tire inner tube with a regulator on it, but he had a color cup. And then he'd come in with the 2 cans of fluorescent paint. And he'd do it, in less than 4 minutes every time. And he was knocking them out, and he'd paint until he ran out of air, till his tire ran out of air.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
I watched that dude for hours at night. I was amazed by him. Joseph of Waikiki.
Man, yeah, I have yet to, every artist that I've interviewed, I asked about.
Did you happen to, the big football stadium there?
Yeah.
They had the flea market there.
Yeah, the flea market out there.
I knew some guys that airbrushed in the flea market there. Rory Fairley and his brother Lance Fairley. Lance still lives there and is a fine artist now, and has like a bed and breakfast up in the mountains there. It's all self-contained and everything. But those guys painted at the flea market for years. I came back from Hawaii, and I told those guys, I said, man, you should go to Hawaii, man. There's a lot of money to be made over there.
And, yeah.
And, they did. And one of them still there after all this time.
The cost of living over there was kind of high, though. But I guess if you live over there, you straight.
Oh, dude. When I went over there, sticker price, gas was 32 cents a gallon here in 1978. When I went over there, it was 89 cents a gallon.
Damn.
I know. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Everything was expensive over there, but I made pretty good money over there, so it doesn't really matter. I had a couple of people. My dad got really ill, and my grandmother passed away, and I had to come back, And then I went back, and then I went on this hiatus chasing waves all around, I went to Australia, Bali, all those places surfing. So,
Dice like he ready to go outside.
I'm glad I did all this stuff when I was younger, Ralph, because I'm telling you the truth. I'm 71 now. And, I you never had a dog interview, did you? I just had one of my hips replaced. And, I had all kinds of physical stuff. I'm still out there kiting and all that, but I'm glad I did all that crap when I was young.
Yeah.
know?
You could say you lived your life.
I've had a great time, and there would be a whole lot of go back and do different, but there would be some things.
Yeah, true story. Everybody got that.
Yeah.
Everybody got that. But yeah, I don't think I would change much. I wouldn't change much. But all right, Mark. Hey, I appreciate you getting on with me. And
I hope we provided some people with some valuable information, and if not anything else other than cheap entertainment, there you go.
is there anything you would like to bring up or talk about before we go?
Oh, not really. Not really. I'm just glad we got to do the interview finally because we've talked about it for a couple of years, and yeah, I hope a lot of people can get something from it, one way or the other. You know.
Yeah. It's on YouTube, and I'll post it on through the social network so everybody will be able to get a chance to see who did get a chance to get on tonight.
All right, Ralph. If I here help you with anything, you ever need any stencils, let me know, brother.
All right, I got you, bro. All right, good night.
All right, good night.